What is your take on AI tools in writing? Oh boy. This is my upcoming book, Not My Dream Diary, and you have been asking me some questions about it. So, in this video, I'm gonna be answering some. Not My Dream Diary is a story about Charlie, a girl who is obsessed with dreams, and one day she has a dream about one of her friends kidnapping and torturing her and possibly even killing her. From this moment on, she is terrified of this person, even when her girlfriend tells her that it's totally fine and there's nothing to worry about, it was just a dream. Until it's not. That is what I told you all in my last video, where I announced when this book will be releasing and what it's about and all that good stuff. And recently I asked you all if you had any questions regarding this book or the writing process in general. And you delivered! You got me some very interesting questions that I'm going to be going through. So let's start with the first one. I really need to grab my phone for this. There are a few questions here that are a little similar, but let's just start off and see how it goes. The first one: which limitations, if any, did you set on yourself to stop with writing scope creep? Did you have a desired word/page count or something like that? Scope creep is basically when you have an idea and you keep expanding that idea to the point that it's really difficult to keep up with the original thing, and you could just be spending years and years and years on something without ever finishing it. Think George R. Martin with Game of Thrones. I'm not sure if that's how it went for him, but that's kind of the idea I'm getting. Honestly, it kind of depends. On my first book, I had a very simple goal, and I just wanted the two characters to become closer to each other. I needed to find ways to make that happen. I needed to add situations to kind of make it bigger than the original idea. It could have been much shorter, but I just needed more and more and more to, you know, make it a book rather than a short story. I just knew that I specifically wanted the characters to kind of despise each other. I wanted them to go to the farm together. I wanted them to witness a murder. I wanted them to have a massive fight together, and I wanted them to make up in a way. But as I write, I kind of come up with new ideas, which I guess is what you could call scope creep in a way. But usually these ideas really work to my advantage. For example, again, the first book, the scene with the goat, that's just on the spot that happened. The hospital stuff, or even the funeral was supposed to be the ending, but then I was like, no, I need more. I need them to still hate each other here. The way I write is I have an idea, a basic idea, an outline. I will sometimes write out an entire outline and just ignore it, depending on where the story brings me. So really, I don't have a way to stop myself from reaching scope creep, but the way I do write kind of supports it. It kind of challenges me to add more stuff to a book. It's not a problem until it is. With that, the next question is: how does one make a full book out of a story that I would write in like 3 pages in class or something? How do they extend so much? If I knew that, I would write a lot more. That is interesting. Recently, I've only been struggling with this, where I have an idea and I think, could I fit this into something that's bigger than just a few pages? I have written some short stories, but never have I thought, I could turn this into a book. With this one, I will tell you that the story is inspired by a dream that I had myself. And that is a very scary thought, that I actually had a dream that really scared me so much that I thought, yeah, I'm gonna be writing a book about this. The story was there. The dream that Charlie has that really messed her up was the only thing that I dreamt. And somehow I was able to turn that into multiple characters and a whole story around it. Honestly, I'm not sure when I decided, yes, this is a large book. I don't think I ever considered turning it into a short story. I just realized with the right build-up and the right structure, this could make for a book. I don't think it's any more complicated than that, honestly. With my next book though, the third book that I'm writing, it got a lot more difficult because I had an idea. It's a time-loop story. I love time-loop stories. They're my favorite movies. I was about 15,000 words in when I realized, this kinda sucks. I took some time to think about it and I realized, you know what, maybe I should turn it into a movie instead. So I started writing a script, and not long after, I thought, no, I don't know about this either. I don't have enough experience writing a script, even though I have written some scripts for short films. I just thought, no, I don't think I really know what I want with this story yet. So instead, I decided, let's turn it into a short story. Again, not long after, I just thought, this is a book. It's a short one, but it is a book. It's been a couple months, and I finished the first draft a couple weeks ago. So for me, it really is a matter of trying it out, seeing where I go with something. Sometimes I have an idea that's super detailed, that I know exactly where I want it to go. Like another idea that I have is super large, and I think that it could be my biggest book yet when it comes to scale. But with the time loop story, I wasn't sure yet. I wasn't exactly sure where I wanted it to go until now. Besides, when I have an idea and I don't think it's long enough or interesting enough for a book, I usually write it down somewhere and just move on. What's next? Next question. This one is also kind of connected to the whole, do I have enough to write a book? The question is, what processes do you use to fully plan out the book so you know you have enough to write and somehow not end up at like only 50 pages? When I plan out a book, like I said before, I plan out certain scenarios. Sometimes I even write entire scenarios, and I usually know where I want it to end, and then I think back. I have a beginning and I have an end, and I just go, okay, if I want to get there, how do I get there? What steps do I take to get there? With my first book, I drew on this whiteboard a couple times, and I made a whole timeline of events, and I started adding new things. And again, as I started writing, I added even more things because they came up. The same with Not My Dream Diary, I suppose. I knew that I wanted I'm trying to do this without spoilers. I knew that I wanted the character to show off how much they love dreams, and I wanted them to experience the terrible dream, and then I wanted to work towards the thing actually happening. And I didn't know yet what would come after that, and I knew that I had already found enough to work with to that point already, and I knew, okay, what comes after is going to be difficult, but it could be very interesting. And after that, I just started piecing together how I could make it work and what could happen so that it wouldn't be over too soon, and that you'd actually feel like you're in that situation with her and try to think of ways to get out of the situation. It's really difficult to explain this without spoiling anything, surprisingly. But honestly, to answer the question, I just write down where I want to start, where I want to finish, or a part that I at least want to touch on, and at that point I just see where I go. Okay, next up, what inspired you to stay writing and how has it changed you? I wrote my first book when I was, I think, 11 or 12. It was a fantasy book that was inspired by Harry Potter, Greek mythology, and Avatar: The Last Airbender. It was very cool, it was very bad, but I love it. I love it so much that years later I tried to rewrite the whole thing, and it's still in the back of my mind. I have an entire story, I'm too scared to write it. Anyway, I hadn't finished a real book at that point yet. The first book that I really finished was obviously Sorry About Me. The way I got back into that was because of the movie The Peanut Butter Falcon, which I talked about in my video how I wrote my first novel. That inspired me to write my book because it made me think about my relationship with my brother, as well as reading this book, an absolutely remarkable thing by Hank Green, and watching a bunch of videos from Hank Green and John Green talking about writing. It just motivated me so much that I couldn't stop thinking about writing. Writing is very much about doing. It's so much about discipline and not giving up, building a routine, all that. And that's tough. That's really tough. I stopped writing Sorry About Me, and there were moments that I was just like, yeah, okay, that was fun. It wasn't nearly finished. I had maybe written a couple of chapters. A friend of mine was very interested in the fact that I was writing, and he kept asking me about it, which honestly helped me push through it. His interest made it that I kept writing, and I'm very thankful for that. I don't think I would have written one book, let alone 2 or 3, if it weren't for his interest in me writing in the first place. And the way it has changed me, I've always loved telling stories one way or another. I remember writing when I was a little kid, very bad stuff, but obviously who cares, like, you're a kid. Stories are gonna be bad. It has changed me in a way that I'm a very creative person, and this has helped me with that too. I feel much more creative. I feel like I've learned English much better, and it has allowed me to express my emotions in a way that I don't think I could have before. So I love that. Writing is great. Okay, next question. What made you want to write about this specifically? I get dream deja vu all the time, but I never really give it more than a confused thought before I continue whatever it was I was doing. I think I answered this a little bit before. I was over there. So yeah, I had a dream, and that really terrified me, and I feel like the only way I could have coped with that dream was by writing a story about it. I go for runs every now and then, and every time I went, I walked past the person's house that I dreamt of, that I had that terrible dream of. It made me very uncomfortable. I was still writing Sorry About Me at this point, and I just thought, you know what, this would make for an interesting story, and maybe I could turn that terrifying dream into something that's still mine, but no longer my dream. That I could bully someone else with it. Also, it's not a deja vu. Deja vu is the idea that you have experienced something before, and this is called Google Translate. Help. Premonitory. This is actually called a premonitory dream. I hope I said that right. It's a very difficult word. Basically, what that means is that you experience something, and then you kind of have this thought of, hey, I think I've dreamt that before. That is something that I experience every now and then, and I think people have that. I'm not sure. There's a word for it, so it's probably fine. I just thought it'd be cool if I combined a scary dream and the idea that that could actually happen. I think that was a really cool idea, and it made for a great hook. So yeah, that's why I went with that idea specifically. And then the final question. This is a spicy one. What is your take on AI tools in writing? Oh boy. I know that AI is a really big topic right now in art and game development. I know about game development because I am part of that community, and I know about art because that's what the world is mostly struggling with right now. It's what they're mostly frustrated about. With writing, I have tried some tools to see how they could help because I was curious, and I know that it works for some people, but for me, I feel like what's missing a lot with AI in general is soul. There's a lot of creative stuff that you can do that AI just can't do the same way. That's why I think that the writers protesting stuff that's happening right now is important, because AI shouldn't be taking that over, in my opinion, because they can't write stories like that. They cannot write stories that make you feel a certain way, because stories come from experience. Stories come from people that have something they want to share, whatever that may be. And an AI doesn't have any experiences or feelings for that matter. In that sense, I think people shouldn't use AI to write whole stories. However, I do think that it could be a very useful tool to help you write better. I read very badly, and I write in a way that I sometimes even forget to write certain words. I just skip over them or something. In that sense, AI can help me find those mistakes. Obviously, they should not replace editors. I think that could still happen, but editors are also there for telling you if the structure of your story is good, if certain characters just suck in a bad way. I don't think AI can do that. I think you still need people for that. But otherwise, it can definitely be of great help if you use it in the right way. But the people that use it to write entire stories, no. I'm not a fan. Those were all the questions. That was it, yeah. So thank you all so much for the love on the announcement video of Not My Dream Diary. It will be coming out October 2nd on Amazon. I will obviously keep talking about it until that happens, and even after that. I am very much looking forward to hearing what you all think about it. Thank you for asking the questions. I like rambling about stuff like this, even if my answers don't always make sense, and I would love to do this again sometime. Alright, thank you all so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.